everyone, welcome back. I'm Dai, and today I'm bringing you my wrap-up for the Haunted 24-Hour Manga Readathon, which was held between October 15th and October 18th. I was a co-host for this readathon with Justy's Cave and Tony's Manga. I will link both of their channels down in the description box below so that you can see what they read during the readathon. But I have figured out that I am just not programmed to read for 24 hours. I am not programmed to sit down and read for multiple hours at a time. I had planned to read between 6 to 8 hours Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that was the 15th, the 16th, and the 17th to get all of my volumes in. And I had a goal of 24 volumes. And I had a really difficult time. I just kept getting distracted. I couldn't just sit and read volume after volume after volume. And I've never ever tried to do a 24-hour readathon before. But I thought that since this was just reading for 24 hours total, I wasn't going to have such a difficult time. And yet I did. That being said, I ended up reading the entire 4 days, so from the 15th through the 18th, but I did end up reading the 24 volumes that I had decided I wanted to read as my goal. So the total number of hours that I ended up reading for was actually 20. I did keep a timer, so every time I was reading, I would start the timer, and then when I would stop reading, I'd stop it. So I read for 20 hours total, so it's not too far off, but yeah, 20 hours, 24 volumes. One of the things that you will see me show you is actually an omnibus, and I am counting the omnibus as its separate volumes inside. So yes, 24 volumes. So let's just wrap up what I thought about all of the volumes that I read during the readathon. So I'm going to go backwards. So starting with the thing that I finished last to the thing that I finished first. So starting off, we are going to talk, well, we're not going to talk about, I'm going to mention these two volumes here. This is Serve Out Volume 1 by Strike Tanaka. This one's published by 7 Seas Rated Teen. And then Toilet Bound Hanako-kun Volume 1 by Ida Ito. This one is published by Yen Press and also Rated Teen. I have to move because I'm not used to this angle, but I actually read these two volumes for my manga club, which is the Monochrome Manga Club. We will actually be meeting tomorrow, the day after I am filming this video. So I'm not going to wrap up these volumes here, but I will let you know that I thought both of these volumes were interesting. So definitely keep an eye out for my Monochrome Manga Club Series First Impressions video, where I'll talk about these two volumes more. Then I read volumes 17, 18, and 19 of Blue Exorcist. I'm not used to this angle. Blue Exorcist by Kazure Kato. This one's published by Viz and is rated older teen. And I am just really enjoying this series. It follows a boy named Rin who finds out that he is a son of Satan, and then his guardian gets killed, and he vows to vanquish Satan. And in order to do that, he decides that he wants to become an exorcist. So he enrolls in this school for exorcists, unaware that his brother has been going to this school for a while and is actually quite advanced and is a teacher there. But yeah, this follows him going to school, learning all the things he needs to learn to become an exorcist, making friends, trying to keep the fact that he is the son of Satan from his friends, and then seeing how they react when they figure out that he is a son of Satan, and just kind of honing his abilities and his journey on trying to become this exorcist so that he can vanquish Satan. And so there are a lot of things that go on with this series. The cast list is super huge. But in this particular volume, volume 17, we get a lot of backstory on the character that's on the cover here, which is Shura, which I thought was very interesting. And yeah, so there's some interesting things going on in these volumes. There's another mystery to uncover, and I'm just really enjoying this journey. So definitely looking forward to the next 3 volumes that I currently have in my collection, but I stopped with 3 volumes of Blue Exorcist. Next up, I read Haunted House. This one is by Mitsukazu Mihara. It's published by Tokyo Pop and is rated older teen. This is a one-shot about this normal-looking guy you can see here on the cover, and his family is kind of like the Addams family, looks-wise. They like to dress in black, they do gothic things, they decorate their house in like black and skulls and coffins and things like that. And so this guy, every time he brings a girl home to meet his family, they pull some kind of shenanigan. Like, for example, one day he brings a girl home, and the minute she walks through the door, they look like they're trying to kill the family cat. And so she freaks out, not only because that's what it looks like they're doing, but the way that they present themselves, the way they're dressed, and things like that. And so this guy is basically at his wit's end. Every girl he brings home dumps him because of how his family acts when he brings them home. So this story follows him bringing home girls and seeing the shenanigans that his family comes up with every time he does this. But maybe his family is doing these things for a good reason. And so I really enjoyed this one. I wasn't expecting much from it because I did pick it up at a secondhand shop. It looked funny. It's classified as comedy horror, so I expected to laugh, and I definitely did. I laughed out loud a couple of times, and I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was super entertaining seeing him bring home these girls, and every time his family is doing something different, and yeah, it was funny, it was endearing, and I just really enjoyed this volume. Next up, I read volumes 2, 3, and 4 of Call of the Night by Kotoyama. This one is published by Viz and is rated older teen. I read volume 1 as a advanced reader's copy, and so there is a series first impressions video on my channel in case you're interested in hearing what I thought of that volume. But since I read that volume pretty recently, I felt like I didn't need to reread it to read the rest of the volumes that I had. And so I decided to skip volume 1 and go straight into volumes 2, 3, and 4. This one follows Ko, who is a teenager, and he has insomnia really bad. And so instead of just staying in bed and just trying to pass the time at home, he decides to venture out into the world. So on his very first night that he does this, he meets Nazuna, who happens to be a vampire. And as they get talking, they decide to make a pact with each other. And so this story follows Ko and his adventures with Nazuna at night. And I'm really enjoying this story. I don't know what I was expecting from it, to be honest. But we're meeting a lot of new characters in these 3 volumes. There's some mysteries that were being solved, and it looks like we're getting more information about like the rules of vampires in this world in these volumes, and I thought that was very interesting as well. There's definitely something I'm looking forward to seeing as the future volumes come out, especially with things that were revealed in volume 4. And so this is definitely one that I'm going to continue collecting and reading because I am just having a great time with this one. Next up is Ibizu. This one is by Haruto Ryo and is published by Yen Press, rated mature. This one follows a guy, I can't remember his name, but he is taking out his trash very late at night, and when he is at the like garbage dump area, he sees that there's this freaky girl, and she looks like this. And so he's like, okay, I'm just going to drop my trash and go. I don't want to talk to her. She looks real creepy. And so that's what he tries to do. But as soon as he tries to leave the area, this girl asks him, would you have a little sister? And without thinking, he replies. And then his life gets turned upside down. And I have had my eye on this volume or story for a very long time. I finally decided to pick it up last month, I believe. And I enjoyed this, but I didn't really enjoy it. It definitely had a lot of gore in it, which doesn't bother me when I read things that have that. But just, yeah, he kind of learns throughout this story what he's gotten himself into. Very slowly, it's kind of unfolded for you throughout the entire volume. There are 2 short stories in the middle, so I don't know if this is a 2-volume omnibus, but there's story, and then there's 1 short story, and then there's more story, and then there's another short story. And to be honest, I enjoyed the 2 short stories more than I did the main story. The 2 short stories are not connected to the Demon Lolita story. That's kind of how they refer to it in the installment. But yeah, I just thought those 2 short stories were more interesting than this main story. And really, I could only see one way this story was going to go, and it definitely went in that direction. I am glad that I finally got this story read because, like I said, I've been interested in it for a long time, and now I've had my curiosities quenched. So, glad to have read this one. Next up, I have another one-shot, and that is Heaven's Will. This is by Satoru Takamiya, published by Viz, and is rated teen. This one follows a girl who can see ghosts, and she meets an exorcist who is a cross-dresser. She really needs help because these ghosts are bombarding her, and the exorcist is really rusty on his skills, and so they decide to team up with each other, and this story follows their partnership. I have had this one in my collection for quite a while as well. I did pick it up secondhand. I thought this was going to have a little bit of romance in it because on the back here it says the US debut of the popular teen goth romance, and this volume had no romance. There was no romance besides the feelings that we see from the girl character, her saying that she has feelings for the exorcist, but that's pretty much it. I mean, she doesn't, there's no reciprocating feelings that we see. I don't see how there could be any romance, at least not with the storyline that happened in this volume. This is definitely one of those stories that I feel needed more volumes because there are a lot of things that I'm curious about as far as the storyline goes, but there wasn't enough pages to tell everything. In the back, author's notes, the mangaka definitely says that she meant to have our 2 main characters fall in love, but there was no room for that. This story follows basically our girl character here finding out about the exorcist and why he cross-dresses and his relationship with a werewolf character that you can see on the back here. And so, yeah, I don't know. Even with the cross-dressing element, I don't think that was done well because I can't really even say without giving away spoilers, but he's basically cross-dressing for a reason other than that's what makes him happy. And I didn't quite enjoy that. I don't even feel like the reason he was cross-dressing was because he identifies with the outward appearance that he's putting in front of people, there's definitely a reason why he's doing it. But it doesn't seem to have anything to do with his identity. Nor does it make him happy to do this. That's not the feeling I got from it, and so I don't think that that element was either explained very well or put across very well, but yeah. It's almost like he feels obligated to do it, I guess, is what I'm going to leave off on, because if I say any more, there's going to be definite spoilers. But yeah, this story was definitely lacking for me, and it's unfortunate because I really enjoyed the mangaka's art style, and I enjoyed some of the things that happened in here, but in regards to the Exorcist backstory, that part just didn't jive with me. It definitely needed a lot more, I think, to be explained well in my perception. So, yes. But I did end up reading a volume that's been languishing on my shelf for a long time. So that was great. Then I read volumes 1 through 6 of Vampire Doll by Erika Cotty. This one is published by Tokyo Pop and is rated teen. This one follows our vampire aristocrat Giltnazon, who was put inside a cross by an exorcist many, many years ago. And he is kind of brought back to life. Kind of. His soul gets put into the body of a female wax doll, which is what you see here on the front cover of Volume 1, by a descendant of the exorcist that put him in the cross many, many years ago. And the descendant basically brings him back so that he can become his servant. Not to, like, help him with exorcist things. Not really. But to do, like, house chores. Cooking, cleaning, laundry, things like that. It just so happens that this doll looks exactly like the exorcist sister Tonai. And being in the body of this wax doll limits Giltnazon's appearance, and so when he is in the body of this wax doll, he's called Giltnachan. And so he immediately figures out that he has some magical abilities still, but he doesn't have his full abilities, and he is able to get his full abilities for a short amount of time, but the only way to do that is to drink Tonai's blood. And even if he does that, like I said, it's only for a short amount of time. So this story basically follows Giltnazon try to figure out how to live his life in the body of this wax doll, meeting up with old friends, and figuring out a few mysteries that come up along the way. So we do meet some of Giltnazon's acquaintances, friends from his past before he was put into the cross, and we get some of that backstory as well. Each volume has several different short stories inside, and I just really enjoyed watching Giltnazon not only reacquaint himself with people from his past, but also learn to kind of be a family with Tonai and her brothers, plural. One of her brothers has been estranged from the family for a while, so there is also a storyline of Tonai's family patching themselves back up, and I just really, really enjoyed this one. This one's also classified as comedy horror, and I definitely laughed out loud a few times. I'll go through these volumes really fast so you can see all of the covers. Most of the ones that I have are this matte-like look, but you can see Volume 2 is glossy. And I don't know why it's glossy, but this is the volume that I ended up with Volume 2. So, yes, Volume 2. Volume 3. This is Tonai here. And her brother, who's the exorcist that brought Giltnazon back. Oh, I should probably mention that Volume 2 This is Guilt Nazan's actual appearance, so what he used to look like when he was a vampire aristocrat. And then we get some of the side characters that we meet along the way. Volume 5 and Volume 6. So I had actually read Volumes 1 through 5 several years ago. I believe it was like 2009 based on my Goodreads account. And I just had a hard time finding Volume 6. And when I finally got a hold of it, I didn't read it right away. And so I was really looking forward to rereading this entire series because, like I said, it's been a while. And I enjoyed it as much as I remember enjoying it. And there were some things that I had forgotten about. And there were definite things that I remembered. Some of the short stories in there I definitely remembered. And I just really enjoyed seeing everything and finally reading Volume 6 for the first time. And I just really enjoyed this series. So definitely one I'm going to be rereading in the future. And I'm so glad that I have the full thing in my collection now. So just a couple more titles to go. Next up, I'm going to talk about Miyarukochan. So I actually have, this is Volume 3 right here. So this follows our main character, Miyarukochan, and she can see like ghosts, and they sometimes look like this, so they kind of look scary. Sometimes they're really mean, but sometimes they look like normal people. And so this series basically follows her trying to get through the day without kind of showing or telling people that she sees things that they can't. But she also has a really good friend whose aura is really like bright and blingy, and it attracts a lot of these spirits. And Miyaruko just can't deal sometimes. Also within these 3 volumes, they meet another girl who can actually see things, but she doesn't see everything Miyaruko can. And so I'm finding this series to be very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing what the anime is going to bring. But though I found these 3 volumes interesting, it did move rather slow for me. Like, I'm fully expecting Miyaruko to be able to like communicate with these ghosts and maybe vanquish some of them. She's starting to learn, but it's very slow, and that only starts happening in Volume 3. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing her grow her abilities and figure out how to vanquish some of the meaner spirits that she comes across, maybe, or at least, passes them over. There was something interesting that happened after a visit to a shrine in these 3 volumes. I'm not sure in which volume that happens. It might be 1 or 2. But there was that. At the end of Volume 1, something very endearing happens. Definitely not something I expected. But yeah, this is going to be a series that I'm going to continue to collect and read. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing more everyday things with Miyaruko and seeing how she progresses in her abilities. And so this is Volume 3, like I said. Volume 2 and Volume 1. All of these volumes are rather thin, and so the story did go by rather quickly. But yeah, definitely one that intrigued me, and I'm glad that I decided to try it out. And I'm looking forward to the anime. Okay, last one up is this brick. This is another. You can see it is rather thick. There are 4 volumes in this one omnibus. And this one follows our main character, Koichi. And he has just moved to live with his grandparents. His father is a teacher, and he has taken a job in India. So while his father is teaching in India, he is continuing his schooling in Japan, and so he's moved in with his grandparents. So obviously he has to change schools because now he's living somewhere else. But he is going to the school that his aunt and mother had gone to. Now, Koichi's mother has passed away. In fact, she passed away when Koichi was still rather young. But Koichi also has a health condition. So at the beginning of this story, he is in the hospital. He has a condition where his lungs collapse when he's under stressful situations and things like that. And so he's had one of those episodes recently, and so he is in the hospital. But school's going to start up pretty soon, and the 2 class representatives from his new school have decided to come and visit him. But he notices that they're acting a little bit strange. When he's finally well enough to go to school, he notices that people there are also acting very strange. And there seems to be a girl that only he can see, but nobody else can. So this story follows Koichi trying to figure out what's going on, and then trying to work out what this curse is that this class that he's joined seems to be under, and the history of it. I have had this one for a while again. I think it's been on my TBR every October for the last 3 years, maybe 4. I think I even put it on a March Mystery Madness TBR, and I just never ever got to it. I don't know why. The story was super intriguing to me, and based on this cover art, I thought it was going to be something that I'd really enjoy, and it definitely was. It just took me forever to finally pick it up, which is why I decided to pick it up first for the readathon. I really, really enjoyed this story. I'm looking forward to reading the novelization that it is based on, because I do own that as well. And I'm also looking forward to experiencing the anime. I did watch the first episode maybe a couple years ago, and I was intrigued then and still didn't pick up this volume. But I did finally read this one. It's definitely going to be one that I'm going to reread in the future, but probably not until after I read the novel. I'm super intrigued about how the novel's going to read now, because I do feel like sometimes the things that happen in here could be explained maybe a little bit better. There's also like the author's note in the back that makes me think there are things that happen differently in the novel. So that intrigues me as well. And so yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to experiencing this story again in its different formats. But I really, really enjoyed this one, and I definitely recommend it. So that completes all of the volumes that I read for the Haunted 24-Hour Manga Readathon. Like I said, there are 24 volumes. I did count another as 4 volumes because there are 4 volumes in that bind up. But I had a really great time reading. I learned a little bit about myself and the fact that I am just not programmed to sit down and read for long periods of time, day after day after day. But I got through a lot of titles that I have been meaning to read for a while, and I really enjoyed most everything that I read. So let me know down in the comments below if you've read any of the titles that I mentioned today and what you thought of them. But please, no spoilers. Or let me know if you're interested in reading one of the titles that I talked about today after hearing a little bit more about them. So if nothing else, and you would like to let me know that you are here, if you could leave me a ghost emoji down in the comments below, that would be greatly appreciated and would really help me out, and that will do it for me today. So I hope you're all doing great. I hope you're all safe and healthy. And until next time, take care and smile always. Bye!